All right. So tonight I am excited to have a conversation with my friend and uh, beer person, Rob Zellermayer, who is the general manager of the Growler Gallery at Ray's Wine and Spirits in Wauwatosa. Welcome, Rob, and thank you for joining the Badger Beer Hour.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you. I already said that. Okay. So now Ray's is my local bottle shop and it's my favorite. And but I wanted to bring Rob on to talk uh, uh bring onto the show because it's taken kind of the COVID bull by the horns, I guess, in the last 10 months. And the experience, I mean, I guess the experience anywhere you shop is different than it was a year ago, but I think Ray's has made a lot of really positive changes. And um, when go ahead and tell me about that, Rob, like some of the
Yeah.
pandemic kind of innovations that you guys have implemented.
Well, yeah, thanks. We recognized the issue right away and thought that most importantly, we didn't want to be a victim to the situation, but use our creativity to try to embrace what we do well and reinterpret it for the situation at hand. And for Ray's, not the biggest shop in the world, family owned independent store, service has always been what motivates us. And so that's what we examine how we could provide service in the COVID period of time. And so it meant right away offering a curbside concept and as quickly as we possibly could uh, with a with a learning curve, we added a online shopping capability for our store that dovetails into our curbside service, as well as, of course, limiting the number of customers that we have in the store at the time. The curbside, the phone, the online, it balances so that we can be sustainable.
Mhm. Um, the To me, the online thing is pretty amazing. Like, I know that this exists. Like, you've seen a lot of breweries implement, online ordering and for pickup or whatever it might be. But to do this for a store that has, I don't want to say everything, but I mean, like, I mean, the name Ray's Wine Spirits is, it doesn't even have beer in it, and I mean, it's clearly the best bottle shop in Tosa, and really, like, arguably the best in Metro Milwaukee, and that's based on selection and kind of curation of all that. But then the wine and the spirits, I mean, you guys have a lot of different offerings, and to find something that uh, to be able to go on there and find all these different things, I can't imagine what went into that. I mean, it must have been a lot of kind of work on the front end to get all those SKUs in and inventory and photos, and I don't know. Tell me how that all kind of
It's
was implemented.
It seemed impossible, to be quite frank, is specifically the online component. We hit the ground running with our phone ordering, which kind of allowed us to start working on the logistics of how we were going to manage our inventory. One of the things with our beer department we take pride in is keeping almost all of our beer product cold. So how can we deliver? How do we take the orders? Maintain it, warehouse it until you come pick it up in the parking lot, kind of thing. Uh, so the logistics came, and we were able to organically kind of learn what worked best for us. But the specifically what you're talking about is trying to create uh, a web inventory, accessible to our customers, because for whatever reason they're not comfortable coming into the store, or just the convenience of getting to order at 3 o'clock in the morning when it just seems like a good idea to have a margarita and beer night the next morning. Um, it took a lot. It took a lot of time and a lot of creative and eager teammates of mine really made it happen at a phenomenal pace. Because, as you said, we not only cover wine, beer, spirits, obscure cordials, snacks, all of it. The lovely thing is, once it's all said and done, we'll have a live inventory for you, Chris, just the same as I have accessible to me in the store on the back end.
Yeah, no more calling to say, "Hey, do you have this beer in yet?" Because if it's in, it's on the site, right?
Mostly, we've actually been able to even use the site for some of our beer releases recently. We just did our collaborative release with Third Space Brewery, the Stout State of Mind.
Mhm.
We were able to do that through the website. Um, Super Saturday, with our normal holiday release, it came with again a learning curve, but we made it happen, and yeah, it's been great. It's been really good, and quite frankly, something that won't go away, even when COVID goes away, if it goes away.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this seems like something that is, I mean, born of necessity, but it will have life beyond. Are there any other kind of lessons or kind of changes that you've implemented that you think will have legs and will
Absolutely.
continue?
Yeah, the website's one, and there's been a lot of kind of education of our consumers, especially because we don't necessarily service, as you know, in the Wauwatosa area, very young, tech savvy clientele. We have a lot of elderly customers, and it's been hard. So the phone ordering system has been a great to be accessible and a little less intimidating for some. The other thing, to your point, is how we've kind of found that out of necessity, this idea of being a personal shopper for people was created. And that gets back to the idea of Ray's being service oriented first. Is if you call me up and you said, I got a hankering for hazy IPAs and the best of your Spanish red wines, and this is my budget. Uh, I put my best folks on it, and well, sometimes people actually have kind of turned it into a game where they just give us a budget and some parameters, and they get kind of pick up their mystery box every Saturday morning.
Mm.
So it's cool, and that's definitely something that we're going to hold on to and retain, even when the need of safety goes away.
Yeah. So I mean, like before the pandemic, your title, or I guess it's still your title, is Growler
Yeah,
Gallery General Manager. So
yeah, yeah.
the thing about Ray's is that it has this Growler Gallery, which is kind of a tap room style bar above the store that had, how many is it, 8 taps or six?
We have 8 taps.
8 taps, yeah. And
Well, 8 taps in the bar, but then we have another 4 taps in our event space.
okay,
Yeah,
so I mean, obviously that's all.
shuttered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it has been since March 14th. I can hardly remember a date in my life, but unfortunately, I remember that day. And so yeah, it's kind of it's hard to kind of cut off a couple of your resources there, not just the Growler Gallery itself, which is a very event based bar, but also the our event room where we would host a myriad of wine, spirits, and beer classes. And so yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, we've tried to create a culture around the neighborhood, we call it, and that bar and that event space is an extension of that's been lost, but we're kind of tiptoeing back into it with some virtual events now, and starting to stretch those muscles.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to ask about, is that, you have a lot of kind of educational, I don't know, educational sounds different, but um like tastings and kind of sensory things. You've got you had these Meet the Brewer series where it's a ticketed kind of intimate event with a tasting, and you get like you're one of what, 20 people or something in the room, where you can talk to like I think it was, you had Kevin from Third Space on, right, for one of
We
them.
did,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, these kind of close up interactions with these the stars of beer, basically, and some of that has started to go digital. Can you tell, like, what kind of events have you hosted with that, and how have they gone?
Yeah, well, they've they've gone great, and I really appreciate you having me because I don't do a lot of Zoom meetings and things for my work. So, doing these virtual drinking sessions is great, and that's one of the things that I found that I love doing the events now the most is I'm getting to drink with my friends again and some strangers
Yeah.
virtually, and So yeah, we did one with Kevin Wright from Third Space. That was again centered around our Stout State of Mind release. We've also did one promoting the local group of Movember beer reps, the beer buds there, and that was a good time. My first one was me toggling between 7 different guests on my show, and that was interesting. But we pulled it off well with my coworkers' help, and then just did one last week with Jim and Marty from Revolution. In addition to the beer, we've done some wine ones, and we actually have cocktail ones as well at Raise TV on YouTube, and they're great. It's just really good getting the community together again. Craft beer is so much about community. That's one of the reasons why our shop decided to open up a bar in the first place, attached to a liquor store. And now that we're starting to figure out how to do the virtual events, it's starting to bring that community back. And it's just so important, not just to advertise and help support these independent beer makers, but also just to kind of connect with people.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, well, you mentioned I see you're wearing some swag
Oh,
from the
yeah.
one of the kind of staples of the neighborhood is these kind of pretty big parties, parking in the parking lot or in the Growler gallery with kind of spillover
Mhm.
a couple times a year, and obviously the big Black Friday or Thanksgiving weekend releases. Uh,
Mhm.
is and that to me is one of the things I think about when I think about, hey, Ray's is having this big party. That's like we gotta go by there and have some food and get some beverages and stuff. Um, do you have any plans to resume anything resembling that this year? And what goes into this feeling out of when things are going to kind of get back to normal-ish?
Right. Well, the quick answer is yes. We will have something that vaguely resembles Finter, which is the Three Floyds event that we've now done for a couple years, and but by no means will be anything physically resembling the idea of packing in about 2,000 people in a parking lot, which literally was 3 weeks before
Yeah.
the real shutdown happened last year. So, yeah, there is no more Rose Day in the summertime, no Central Waters backyard barbecue, and it's a bummer. It's a bummer. So we wanted to figure out a way that we can start again reintroducing the community and culture around these events and start supporting our friends, the suppliers of these beers, so as well as the food vendors that we've partnered up with. So we're going to do a virtual thing in February 27th. I laugh because it seems daunting now, but we're going to put together about a couple hours worth of programming at our Raise TV YouTube site, um, getting DJs from Rushmore Records and the representatives of Three Floyds and food vendors like Vivette, and me maybe dressing up in a silly costume and doing a cocktail class with Three Floyds products. Just being dumb, just being
Yeah.
dumb. That's what we like to do, and um, you know, we don't know when we're going to be able to reopen and really, you know, that I'll get to sit at a bar stool next to you. And we're very fortunate that we are able to again have a team that can put these ideas together to keep us physically safe.
Mhm.
Still try to do some fun stuff at the same time.
We actually had a comment from Facebook
Hmm.
asking basically exactly what you just said. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, no plans, obviously, for now.
nothing to tell you. We kept on setting these dates of like, well, let's look at it, July 1st, and let's look at it again August 1st, and at this point, I think we're smart enough to not put ourselves through the mental anguish, and we're just going to sit tight. Um, we're very fortunate, our company, that any of my staff members that needed a job were able to be incorporated into the store team, as well as we were able to bring in some different servers and bartenders around town that uh, in my opinion, for good reason. Their companies weren't able to reopen right away, so they were given an opportunity to find another way to work in the booze world with me and everybody in the store. So um, we're able to be both uh, financially healthy and physically healthy, and so there's no reason to rush the reopening. But I those bars and restaurants, all my buds out there that are making real tough choices, I feel for them, and it's tough. I can't tell you how much I look forward to the time when we get to invite everybody to come back in for in-person events.
Yeah. Um, Shifting gears a little bit,
Mhm.
kind of back to more of the the bottle shop side. Uh, have you seen any kind of patterns emerge in the way the way people any changes in the way people have been buying, or not necessarily the way, but what they have been buying um,
Absolutely.
in since COVID?
Yeah. And I actually use myself as an example. I'm usually just pick a single can here, a 4-pack there, kind of try every spice of life. And man, when COVID really was kicking in those first couple months, I needed to go straight for the 12 packs. I was starting to consume with a little bit of a higher volume, and we did see that with a lot of our customers. We we saw a little bit bigger on the macro side, as specifically talking about beer, and yeah, larger quantity packaging. And I think that you noticed that a lot of the local breweries responded, and you saw a lot more 12 pack offerings from these breweries. And then over time, as well as with the advent of a lot of these small breweries that were either not distributed in the Milwaukee and Madison area, or were distributing in very small quantities because their tap rooms were kicking. Um, we started to get this incredible inventory of beers that we couldn't have imagined seeing a year ago. And so now that's expanded people's horizons on uh, doing a lot more of the singles again, and a lot more of the 4-packs, and
Mm,
a little less in the mass quantity. And it has been amazing what how our real estate of our shelf has changed in providing. Gosh, I'm trying to think, just rows and rows. I couldn't even put a number on it off the top of my head of how many single cans of barrier and microphone and uh, phase three and tripping animals, all these amazing breweries that again, um, silver lining and an otherwise
mhm.
poor time has given us the opportunity to create relationships with some pretty amazing breweries, and I guess keep us from having to do the road trips.
Yeah. It has ha I mean, has that changed? Like, as this has gone, I mean, it's been 10 months now. Are we still buying the big multi-packs? Are we still, you know, has that kind of like, okay, things are kind of, at least drinking wise, back to normal yet?
We're shifting back a little bit off of those big 12 packs, 30 packs and stuff. Uh, you know, I I've gone personally back to buying my 4-packs and my singles, and trying to get a little more variety and all the different spices of life again. And so yeah, I do think, and then part of it has to do with the fact that things have been more accessible with the items specifically to our store. The fact that you can just go and search through all of our inventory on the website. So yeah, we're seeing less of the mass consumption and more of these single releases. I mean, look at you. I know you guys did a feature of Lakefront's Black Friday
Yeah.
release. I
Right.
mean, I don't know when we'll ever be able to get to sell those out of our bottle shop again. That was an outstanding opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like like your point about those mostly out of state breweries. Well, I mean, I guess the hypey ones are kind of out of state, but there's a lot of great breweries in state that have started to package as just a kind of a way of keeping staying alive,
Mhm.
and getting beer out the door, even if it's not in the that $5 a glass price point, but at least it's something, and they stay busy. So
Well,
it's
that's a great point, Chris, because Lion's Tail is a great example for us that we were able to get a little bit every once in a while. And, unfortunately for them, but to the benefit for us in the Milwaukee area, we have a ton of Lion's Tail available consistently. And I think that we've really been able to grow that relationship. Just adding on how people are changing their buying habits, I think that people, over time, the exhaustion of not getting to go out to your favorite restaurants and bars started getting on people. So you got more creative and kind of, treating yourself, the treat yourself concept of, you
yeah.
know, buying that bottle of wine, maybe that you didn't use, you wouldn't treat, treat as an everyday drinker, or, springing for the $10 Cafe Death or something like that. Cafe Death. Sorry, I'm trying to. I always say,
If you name a beer Death Star, you're begging
yeah,
to pronounce your name wrong. That's Josh,
Dude,
who's the
yeah.
founder, I guess, brewman. I don't know, founder of Revolution Brewing in Chicago, and his name is Josh Deeth, Deth, and like the beer's name is Death Star.
Death
It's Death
Star.
Star.
It was messing with me when I was having to talk to their brewers last week to catch myself without making that mistake. So I'm sorry I made it for you instead.
That's great. All right. Well, Rob. Oh, this is a shout out from
Yeah,
Eric Hensel. There we go.
yeah. It was a good day today, Eric. Back on top.
All right. Well, Rob, thanks for coming on. We talk a lot about the brewery. I mean, we mostly talk about the brewery side of things, and as far as the news and kind of when we talk about business, but retail is a critical part of. I mean, everybody has their local, right? And
Mhm.
it's a big part of our of the way we experience beer. So thank you for coming on and kind of providing some really, I think, really insightful stuff about what you guys have been going through in the last 10 months. Jeez.
My pleasure. I mean, Chris, I love talking to you in the store, and I'm happy to get to talk to you in front of more friends here on the show. So thank you very much.
We'll have like an actual beer sometime soon.
There,
Can't
that
wait.
sounds good.
All right. Cheers, Rob.